Ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it today. We're going to talk about something that stirs the soul, turns heads, and flips a man's world upside down. You know what I'm talking about. The things women do that make men absolutely positively crazy. And I ain't talking about the bad crazy. I'm talking about that can't stop thinking about her. Where she at? What she doing? I need to call her right now. Kinda crazy. Now let's be honest. Men are simple creatures. We are. We don't need much. A good meal, some peace and quiet, and a woman that understands us just a little bit. Just a little. But when a woman does certain things, man, it's like she's got a remote control to his heart, and she's pressing every button at the perfect time. Let me tell you the first thing that makes a man crazy. When a woman supports him in silence. I'm talking about that quiet strength. She ain't out here clapping every time he moves. She ain't posting my king every hour, but she believes in him. She listens. She tells him, I got you. Keep going. Do you know what that does to a man? That ain't just emotional support. That's fuel. He'll run through a brick wall if he knows his woman sees his potential, even when the world doesn't. Second thing, that confidence. I mean that real unshakable confidence. A woman who walks into a room like she knows who she is, what she brings to the table, and don't need nobody to validate her. Oh, that'll drive a man crazy in the best way. Confidence is attractive. Confidence is powerful. When a woman loves herself without apology, a man can't help but respect that. He's drawn in like a moth to a flame. He'll cancel plans just to hear her talk about her dreams. Now the third thing, her peace. Yes, sir, peace. See, the world is loud. Work is stressful. Life throws punches. But when a woman becomes a man's peace, that's a whole different level. When she creates an atmosphere that calms him down, when her presence makes him feel safe, that's when he starts saying things like, I can't lose her. That's when he realizes that it's not just about beauty or charm or attraction. It's about energy. And when her energy is peaceful, feminine, wise, Lord, he'll chase that till his knees give out. And here's a big one. When she challenges him to grow. I don't mean nagging. I don't mean bossing him around. I mean pushing him with love. When she holds him accountable with grace. She says, you're better than that, and he knows she's right. She inspires him to level up without tearing him down. That kind of woman, who a man will elevate just to meet her at the level she deserves. Let me tell you something. Men might act tough, hard, emotionless, but when the right woman comes along doing the right things, he gets soft, not weak, soft. That, let me tell you my secret's kinda soft. That I never told anyone this before. Soft. That's when you know he's hooked. So to all the women out there doing these things, you don't even know how much power you hold. You're not just making men crazy. You're changing them. You're healing them. You're inspiring them. And to the men out there, when you find a woman like this, don't play with her. Don't fumble that. Respect her, protect her, and build with her. Because the things she does that drive you crazy, those are the same things that can build a lifetime of love. Thank you. When a woman supports a man in silence, it creates a deep, unspoken connection that touches him far more than loud praise ever could. Silent support doesn't mean she is absent, indifferent, or passive. On the contrary, it's one of the most powerful demonstrations of loyalty, trust, and love a man can experience. It's in the way she looks at him when the world is doubting him. It's in the way she listens not just to reply, but to understand. It's in the way she lets him fall, without judgment, only to help him rise again with dignity. When a man knows his woman believes in him, even when he's struggling to believe in himself, it builds him from the inside out. It reaffirms his purpose. It gives him strength where he once had weakness. Men live in a world that constantly measures their worth by performance, how much they earn, what they achieve, how strong they appear. They are taught from early on that showing vulnerability is weakness, and that their value lies in what they can produce or provide. In that kind of environment, silent support from a woman becomes something sacred. It becomes a place of emotional refuge. It's not about clapping every time he wins, or showering him with compliments when things go right. It's about holding space for him when things go wrong. It's about the quiet I believe in you during his lowest moments. The times when he doesn't need noise, he needs presence. Not a spotlight, just a steady flame that doesn't flicker when the winds of life start blowing hard. That kind of woman doesn't need to be loud about her love. She doesn't need to post about their relationship or constantly seek public validation. She knows her role is not to perform support, it's to be, and she's consistent. She doesn't withdraw her encouragement when things get tough. Instead, she becomes more grounded, more solid. She sees past the surface. She sees potential, not just results. She's in tune with the man he's trying to become, not just the man he is today. And the truth is, men don't forget women like that. They may be surrounded by people when they're successful, but they remember who stood beside them when they had nothing. Silent support is felt in the small things. It's in the way she lets him vent without immediately offering solutions. It's how she lets him sit in silence when he doesn't have the words, but knows he's not alone. It's in the way she says, "I trust your judgment," when he's wrestling with doubt. She doesn't compete with his thoughts. She helps him organize them. She doesn't belittle his ideas. She listens, even if they sound crazy, because deep down, she sees that spark in him, and her belief fans it into a flame. What makes this kind of support powerful is that it's not tied to performance. She's not with him because he's winning. She's with him because she sees value in him, even when he's losing. That's the difference between love and admiration. Admiration claps when things are going well. Love holds your hand when things are falling apart. And when a man feels that kind of quiet, steady love from a woman, it changes how he moves in the world. He starts to walk differently. He starts to dream bigger. He takes more risks, not because he's fearless, but because he knows someone's in his corner. This type of support also helps a man become a better communicator. He learns to open up more because he doesn't feel judged. He begins to trust emotional spaces, which many men have never felt safe doing. And as that trust grows, so does intimacy. Real intimacy. The kind where you don't have to speak everything out loud to be understood. The kind where a look can say more than 1,000 words. Now that doesn't mean the woman should be silent about her needs, or let herself be taken for granted. Silent support isn't about being invisible. It's about being intentional. It's not about staying quiet all the time. It's about knowing when your presence is more powerful than your voice. And for the right man, that's a kind of magic. He'll look back on his life one day and remember that when the world was loud and chaotic, there was one woman whose calm belief kept him grounded. And let's not forget, silent support is not weakness. It requires strength, patience, and emotional intelligence. It takes maturity to stand by someone without needing to be seen doing it. It takes wisdom to know that your quiet presence is often louder than words. And it takes love, the deep, unselfish kind that doesn't seek a spotlight but deserves one. So when a woman shows up with this kind of grace and belief, she does more than support a man. She helps shape him. She helps build him. And that kind of woman, she doesn't just make a man crazy in love. She makes him better. There is something magnetic, almost unexplainable, about a woman who carries herself with unshakable confidence. She doesn't have to speak loudly or make grand statements to be noticed. Her energy does the talking. When she walks into a room, people feel her presence before she even says a word. And for a man, that kind of confidence is not only attractive, it's intoxicating. It pulls him in, captures his attention, and often makes him rethink his own insecurities. A confident woman doesn't beg for love, attention, or approval. She knows her worth, sets her standards, and refuses to shrink herself to fit into someone else's expectations. And that is exactly what drives a man crazy, not in confusion, but in admiration and desire. A woman who truly knows herself brings something rare to the table. She's not trying to compete with other women, because she's not playing the same game. She's competing with herself, trying to grow, evolve, and stay true to her own identity. And that kind of self-assurance sends a message to a man. You can walk with me, but you can't walk over me. A man might be used to attention from women who seek validation, but when he meets someone who's already validated herself, it shakes him up. She doesn't need him, she chooses him. That distinction alone makes all the difference. When a man realizes he's not completing her, but complimenting her, it triggers something in his mind that says, this woman is different. Confident women are not afraid to speak their minds. They communicate clearly, they express boundaries, and they expect respect without having to beg for it. This doesn't mean they're rude or aggressive. It means they've grown past the stage of people pleasing. And for many men, this is a beautiful challenge. She won't fall for shallow words or empty gestures. She wants consistency, authenticity, and integrity. And when a man realizes that, he understands he has to rise to the occasion. He can't fake it with her. He has to become more intentional, more honest, and more emotionally present. She demands his best not with harshness, but simply by being who she is. Confidence also shows up in how a woman handles rejection, failure, and criticism. Instead of letting these things break her, she uses them as fuel. She doesn't crumble when something goes wrong. She adapts, she reflects, and she keeps going. Watching a woman navigate life with that kind of resilience leaves a man in awe. It reminds him of his own strength. It makes him want to be more like her. And often that admiration turns into a deep emotional attraction that goes far beyond the surface. Another thing about a confident woman, she doesn't try to control everything. She trusts herself and her decisions. She gives space in relationships. She's not overly reactive or insecure because she's grounded. And in that emotional stability, she becomes a safe place for a man to express himself too. She creates balance. She leads with strength, but loves with softness. That duality, that mix of grace and fire, softness and certainty, it's rare, and when a man sees it, he doesn't forget it. Confidence isn't about perfection, it's about acceptance. A confident woman embraces her flaws, her past, her growth, and her evolution. She's not waiting for someone to tell her she's enough. She already knows she is. That kind of energy doesn't just attract attention, it earns deep respect. A man may admire beauty at first, but it's confidence that keeps his mind occupied long after she's left the room. It's the way she carries herself, the way she makes decisions, the way she refuses to settle for less than she deserves. And the most incredible part, confidence is contagious. When a man is in the presence of a confident woman, he starts to believe in himself more too. She uplifts without even trying. She inspires without saying much. Just by being who she is, she raises the standard. And any man who's serious about growth, he's going to recognize that. He'll want to match her energy, not just to impress her, but because she makes him want to become the best version of himself. So when a woman walks with that kind of inner power, she leaves an imprint on every man she encounters. Not because she tries to, but because true confidence can't be ignored. It radiates, it uplifts, and it makes a man not just fall in love, but step up. Because the truth is, a confident woman doesn't just make a man crazy, she makes him better. There is a kind of woman who doesn't just come into a man's life to bring romance or excitement. She brings something much deeper, something far more rare. She brings peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from silence or stillness, but the peace that comes from emotional safety, trust, and presence. When a man finds that in a woman, it doesn't just make him feel good. It changes how he sees relationships altogether. In a world full of noise, expectations, judgment, and chaos, a peaceful woman becomes a place he wants to come home to, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. For most men, life is pressure. There are expectations to perform, to provide, to protect, to lead. Many of them grow up with the idea that they can't show emotion, that they always have to be strong, that being vulnerable is somehow weak. So they go through life with a mask on, holding in their fears, their pain, their doubts, and their exhaustion. But when a woman comes into his life and offers something different, when she creates a space where he doesn't have to perform, where he doesn't have to pretend, where he can just be, that becomes priceless. That's what it means to be a man's peace. It's not about fixing his problems. It's not about solving everything. It's about being someone who doesn't add to the storm, but quiets it. A peaceful woman knows how to listen. She doesn't rush to criticize or offer unsolicited advice every time he speaks. She understands that sometimes all he needs is to be heard. Her energy doesn't come with judgment or sarcasm. Instead, it carries warmth, patience, and acceptance. When a man opens up and sees that she's not reacting with drama, panic, or disrespect, something shifts in him. He begins to trust her with the parts of himself he's kept hidden from the world. That kind of connection builds a bond that physical attraction alone could never create. Being a man's peace also means knowing how to manage emotions with maturity. A peaceful woman is not someone who never gets upset or never has an opinion. She's someone who knows how to communicate with grace. She doesn't fight dirty. She doesn't bring up past mistakes just to hurt him. She addresses issues directly, but with love. That kind of emotional intelligence is powerful because it brings stability. It lets a man know that even when there's conflict, they can handle it together without tearing each other down. Many people underestimate how deeply a man craves this kind of peace. It's not about having a woman who's quiet or passive. It's about having a partner who helps him recharge, who brings clarity instead of confusion, who adds calm rather than chaos. And when a man experiences that, he begins to associate her presence with healing. He stops seeing her as just a girlfriend or a wife or a lover. He sees her as his peace, his balance, his home. And there is no replacement for that. What's even more powerful is that peace becomes a mirror. When a woman shows up with calm, grace, and stability, it challenges a man to do the same. He wants to be more grounded. He wants to bring her peace too. He realizes that if he wants to keep that energy in his life, he has to protect it. He becomes more intentional with how he speaks, how he acts, how he loves. In that way, a peaceful woman doesn't just impact his emotions, she impacts his behavior. She brings out the best in him, without force, without control, simply by being who she is. And it's not just about how she treats him, it's how she carries herself in general. A peaceful woman isn't easily shaken by life's problems. She's not reactive to every little thing. She knows how to pause, how to reflect, how to respond instead of explode. That kind of self-mastery makes her a magnet. It draws people to her. It makes a man feel proud to stand beside her, not just because of how she looks, but because of how she moves through life. Men notice the difference between a woman who brings chaos and a woman who brings calm. One makes him feel like he's always walking on eggshells, always trying to prove something, always drained. The other makes him feel safe, empowered, and recharged. And as he matures, he learns to value that peace more than any other quality. He realizes that good looks fade, money comes and goes, excitement rises and falls, but peace, real peace, is rare. And when he finds it in a woman, he'll do everything in his power not to lose it. So when a woman becomes a man's peace, she's not just playing a role, she's filling a deep emotional need he may not have even known he had. She becomes the difference between surviving and thriving, between stress and strength, between just having someone to love and having someone who makes love feel like rest. That kind of woman doesn't just make a man crazy, she makes him whole. When a woman challenges a man to grow, something powerful happens. She becomes more than just a companion. She becomes a mirror, a motivator, a quiet coach who holds up a standard, not through pressure but through presence. She sees the man he is, but more importantly, she sees the man he could be. And she doesn't settle for what's easy or convenient. She calls him into a higher version of himself. This kind of challenge isn't loud or forceful. It doesn't come from nagging or constant correction. It comes from love, from deep belief, and from a refusal to watch him stay small when she knows he's meant for more. Growth isn't comfortable. For most people, it requires pressure, discomfort, and honest reflection. But when it's paired with love, it becomes transformative. A woman who lovingly challenges her man isn't tearing him down. She's reminding him that he has more in him. She's not criticizing him from a place of superiority. She's encouraging him from a place of partnership. She says things like, "You're better than that," or "I see more in you." And those words, when spoken with the right energy, can light a fire in a man's heart that nothing else can. He may not always like it in the moment. He may even resist it. But deep down, He knows it's coming from someone who cares enough to push him, not someone trying to control him. This kind of woman is rare because she understands the balance between love and accountability. She doesn't enable his laziness or make excuses for his poor behavior. She holds the line, not with harshness, but with consistency. She doesn't let him lie to himself or settle for less than he's capable of. She keeps him aligned with his own potential. And what makes her even more powerful is that she walks the same path herself. She's growing, evolving, learning, and pushing herself. So when she challenges him, it's not from a place of hypocrisy, it's from shared experience. She knows how hard it is, but she also knows how worth it is. There's something deeply attractive about a woman who demands excellence, not perfection, but progress. A woman who won't accept mediocrity in the man she loves because she wants to see him become all that he's destined to be. She doesn't settle, and that alone sets a standard. Her energy says, I'm not here for gains, I'm here for growth. And the right man, he rises to that. He might feel uncomfortable at first, he might even argue, but eventually, he recognizes the blessing of having someone in his life who won't let him stay stuck. Someone who loves him enough to say, you can do better. She also teaches through example. She doesn't just preach discipline, focus, or ambition. She lives it. When he sees her setting goals, honoring her boundaries, taking care of herself, and refusing to settle in her own life, it inspires him. It creates a silent challenge without her saying a word. She's not waiting on him to change before she grows. She's not sitting around hoping he becomes a better man. She's already becoming a better woman, and that naturally makes him want to level up. And it's not just about career or external success. She challenges him emotionally too. She invites him to be more self-aware, to communicate better, to deal with his inner wounds. She encourages therapy, reflection, honesty, vulnerability. She doesn't reward emotional immaturity with affection. Instead, she sets emotional standards that invite him to do the internal work. At first, this might be intimidating, especially for a man who's never been asked to look inward. But over time, he realizes this is the kind of challenge that will change his life, not because she's forcing it, but because she's inspiring it. What makes this kind of woman unforgettable is that she doesn't need to raise her voice to raise the standard. She doesn't have to argue to make a point. Her presence is powerful, her expectations are clear, and her love is firm. She sees him slipping and says, that's not who you are. She watches him make excuses and responds, I know you're capable of more. She doesn't shame him, but she doesn't shield him from the truth either. She honors his process, but she doesn't participate in his patterns. And the man who's ready, he will meet her there. Over time, a man starts to realize that this woman isn't trying to change him. She's helping him become who he already wanted to be. Deep down, she's not fighting him. She's fighting for him. She's not dragging him forward. She's walking beside him and saying, let's go. And when he finally steps into that higher version of himself, he looks back and knows it was her. Her belief, her patience, her challenge, her love. She saw something in him that he almost lost sight of, and she didn't let him forget. A woman like this doesn't just make a man fall in love, she makes him rise, and that's a kind of crazy he'll never recover from, nor will he want to, because he knows, without her pushing him gently, lovingly, consistently, he would have stayed in a place far below what he was meant for. And now because of her, he's more.